Listen, my friends, have you ever wondered what happens when one man's greed threatens an entire village? In the heart of Kudan, a village nestled in the dusty plains of northern Nigeria, a story unfolded that still echoes in our songs and whispers. Yakubu, son of Malam Idris, was there, just a boy then, watching it all with wide eyes. Let me take you back to that dry season when the sun burned hotter than a blacksmith's fire, and a tiny sparrow, yes, a sparrow, brought a mighty chief to his knees. If you stay with me through this tale, you'll learn not just a story, but lessons of wisdom, courage, and why sharing is a heartbeat of our people. For my Nigerian brothers and sisters, this is a story that will make you laugh, think, and maybe even cry. So grab your Zobo, settle in, and let's journey to Kudan together. And please, if you love stories that lift your spirit and remind you of home, hit that subscribe button now. It's free, and it keeps our tales alive on this channel. Kudan was a place where the earth itself seemed to breathe stories. Tucked in the Sahel, where the Harmattan winds carried dust like a restless spirit, our village was a patchwork of mud brick huts with thatched roofs, their walls painted with ochre swirls by the women during harvest festivals. The Baobab tree at the village center, older than anyone's memory, stood like a grandfather watching over us. Its gnarled branches shaded the market square, where women in bright headdrops sold coolie and roasted yams, and men argued over Kola nuts, their laughter rising like music. The air smelled of dust and roasted maize, and at dusk, the call to prayer from the small mosque mingled with the bleating of goats. But that year, the dry season was cruel. The wells grew shallow, and the river that fed our farm shrank to a trickle. We gathered under the Baobab each evening, sharing stories to keep hope alive, but worry creased every face. My father, Malam Idris, a respected farmer, would say, "Yakubu, a single hand cannot lift a calabash. We survive together or not at all." That was our way. Community was our strength, and no one, not even the chief, was above it, or so we thought. Chief Dinladi ruled Kudan with a smile that hit a scorpion sting. He was a tall man, broad as a baobab trunk, with a voice that boomed like thunder. His robes, dyed indigo, shimmered with wealth, and his compound, surrounded by high mud walls, housed granaries bursting with millet, while ours stood empty. Dinladi was not born chief. He inherited the title after his father, a kind man, passed. At first, we trusted him. He broke Kola nuts with the elders, danced at weddings, and promised to protect us. But as the drought tightened its grip, whispers grew. Dinladi was hoarding water from the village's deepest well, the one near the sacred grove, for himself and his loyalists. I remember the day it became clear. Aisha, my friend, a girl with eyes sharp as a hawk's, came running to our hut. "Yakubu," she gasped, her wrapper dusty from running. I saw Dinladi's men guarding the well. They chased old Mama Zainab away when she tried to fetch water for her sick grandson. I couldn't believe it. The well belonged to all of Kudan, a gift from our ancestors. My father's face darkened as he heard this, muttering, "A chief who eats alone starves his people." That Hausa proverb stuck with me, for it was a truth unfolding before us. Now, let me tell you about the sparrow. She was no ordinary bird, though she looked like any other, small, brown, with wings that flickered like a flame in the wind. We called her Tsaki, a name meaning quick in Hausa, for she darted to the market, snatching crumbs before anyone could shoo her away. Children loved her, tossing millet grains just to see her dance. But Tsaki was more than quick. She was clever, with eyes that seemed to understand our troubles. One evening, as the sun bled red across the sky, I sat under the baobab with Aisha and my little brother, Sani. We were sharing a single roasted yam, our stomachs rumbling. Tsaki landed nearby, cocking her head as if listening. Aisha, always bold, whispered, "Tsaki, if you can hear us, tell us how to save Kudan from Dinladi's greed." I laughed, thinking a child game, but Tsaki chirped sharply and flew toward the sacred grove. Sani, only 6, clapped his hands. "She's gonna fight the chief," he said. I didn't know then how right he was. The sacred grove was a place of mystery, where baobab roots tangled with ancient stones, and elders said spirits whispered in the wind. The well there, deep and cool, was Kudan's lifeline. But Dinladi had posted guards, 2 burly men, Gubra and Musa with staffs and stern faces, to keep us away. Only Dinladi's household could draw water while we scraped by with muddy puddles. That night, I crept to the grove with Aisha, curious about Tsaki's flight. We were behind a termite mound, watching the guards doze under the moonlight. That's when I saw it. Tsaki perched on a branch above the well, chirping softly. To my shock, the guard stirred, looking confused. "Did you hear that?" Gubra muttered. Sound like a child laughing. Musa shook his head, gripping his staff. Tsaki chirped again, louder, and flew in circles, drawing their eyes. Then, from nowhere, a swarm of ants, tiny, red, and fierce, marched up the guard's legs. They yelped, swatting and running, leaving the well unguarded. Aisha grabbed my arm. "Yakubu, that was Tsaki." She called the ants. I didn't believe in talking birds, but something about Tsaki's gaze made me wonder. The next morning, the village buzzed with news. Someone nobody knew who had drawn water from the sacred well and left calabashes full for the poorest families. Mama Zainab's grandson drank and smiled for the first time in days. The elders, led by Baba Musa, a frail man with a voice like a drum, called a meeting under the Baobab. "This is a sign," Baba Musa said, chewing a Kola nut. "The spirits of Kudan are watching, but Dinladi will not be pleased." He was right. Dinladi stormed into the square, his robes flapping like a vulture's wings. "Who dared touch my well?" he roared. The crowd fell silent, but Aisha, brave as ever, stepped forward. "It's our well, Chief Dinladi. The ancestors gave it to Kudan, not to you alone." Gasps rippled through the crowd. I held my breath, expecting Dinladi to strike her, but he only laughed, a cold sound. "A child challenges me? Very well. I'll prove my right to the well. Let anyone who dares face me in a contest. Carry a calabash of water from the grove to the Baobab without spilling a drop. If you win, the well is yours. If I win, you'll never question me again." The crowd murmured. It was a trap. Dinladi was strong, and the path was long and dusty, with rocks to trip even the steadiest feet. No one spoke until a small chirp broke the silence. Tsaki landed on Aisha's shoulder, fluttering her wings. Baba Musa's eyes widened. "The Sparrow speaks for us," he said. "Let her face the chief." Laughter erupted, even from me, but Aisha's face was serious. "Tsaki will show us the way," she said. "Hey, my people, isn't this getting exciting?" If you're loving how Tsaki and Aisha are standing up to greed, hit that subscribe button and join our Kudan family. Share this video with your friends in Lagos, Kano, or anywhere you are. It's a story that'll make you proud to be Nigerian. Keep watching to see how a tiny bird changes everything. The contest was set for the next full moon, when the grove would glow silver and the whole village could witness. Word spread beyond Kudan, and traders from nearby villages like Zaria and Katsan arrived, their donkeys laden with goods, turning the event into a festival. Women fried acro balls, and drummers beat rhythms that made children dance. But beneath the excitement, tension simmered. Dinladi was no fool. He'd walked the path 100 times, and his calabash, carved from the finest wood, was perfectly balanced. How could a Sparrow, or even Aisha, compete? Aisha spent days preparing, whispering to Tsaki as if they shared a secret. I followed her, curious, and saw her gathering allies. She visited the weaver, Mama Halima, who gave her a tightly woven basket to catch any spills. She spoke to the blacksmith, Malam Bako, who sharpened a small knife for her, just in case. Most strangely, she sat by an anthill, dropping crumbs and murmuring to the ants. "What are you doing?" I asked. She grinned. "Tsaki says the ants owe her a favor." I thought she'd gone mad, but Sani, trailing us, giggled. "Tsaki's the boss," he said. "My father warned us to be careful. Dinladi's heart is hard as iron," he said, quoting another proverb. "A greedy man's shadow darkens the village. Be wise, Yakubu." I nodded, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Tsaki was more than a bird. At night, I dreamed of her flying over Kudan, her wings scattering stars, and woke with hope in my chest. The full moon rose round and bright, casting shadows that danced like spirits. The path from the grove to the Baobab was lined with torches, their flames flickering in the harmattan breeze. The entire village gathered, from babies on their mothers' backs to elders leaning on walking sticks. Traders bet Kola nuts on Dinladi's victory, but the children, led by Sani, chanted, "Tsaki! Tsaki!" Aisha stood ready, her small calabash painted with white patterns. Tsaki perched on her shoulder. Dinladi towered over her, his calabash gleaming, a smirk on his face. Baba Musa raised a staff. "The rules are simple," he said. "Carry the water from the well to the Baobab. 1 drop spilled, and you lose. May the ancestors judge fairly." The crowd cheered, but I saw Dinladi's guards whispering, their eyes sharp. Something wasn't right. Aisha went first. She walked slowly, her bare feet steady on the rocky path. Tsaki fluttered above, chirping as if guiding her. The crowd held its breath as she reached the halfway mark, her calabash still full. Then a hawk swooped from the darkness, its talons grazing Aisha's head. She stumbled, and a single drop splashed onto the dust. The crowd gasped, but Aisha caught the calabash in her basket, saving the rest. "Foul play," Baba Musa shouted, glaring at Dinladi, who shrugged. "The hawk is not my servant," he said, but his eyes gleamed. Now it was Dinladi's turn. He strode confidently, his calabash steady as a rock. The crowd watched in silence, knowing he'd win unless something changed. That's when Tsaki acted. She darted to the ground, chirping wildly, and from the dust rose a swarm of ants, those same red ants from a grove. They crawled up Dinladi's legs, biting fiercely. He cursed, swatting at them, and his calabash tilted. Water poured out, soaking the earth. The crowd roared, some in shock, others in joy. Dinladi reached the Baobab, his calabash empty, his face twisted with rage. Baba Musa stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "The ancestors have spoken.